I've got to ask you about packing the courts, and I know that you said yesterday you aren't going to answer the question until after the election. But this is the number one thing that I've been asked about from viewers in the past couple of days.
Well, you've been asked by the viewers who are probably Republicans who don't want me continuing to talk about what they're doing to the court right now.
Well, sir, don't the voters deserve to know where you stand?
No, they don't. I'm not going to play his game. This is in consents. That's the focus. I've already spoken on. I'm not a fan of court packing, but I don't want to get off on that whole issue.
Should the Supreme Court be expanded?
You know what, I think that, first of all, Joe's been very clear.
Senator Harris, should Democrats try to pack the court next year?
So I will say that I am interested in having that conversation, and I'm open to this conversation about extending the number of people on the United States Supreme Court, about increasing the number of people in the United States Supreme Court.
All right, guys, so as you can see there, Joe Biden in the past has committed to not making a commitment about whether or not he's going to pack the court, even though his vice president has basically said, yeah, we want to pack the court, right? In which, you know, she walked back some of those comments as well. Once Biden decided that the best thing to do would be to not give an answer, right? And Biden, you know, also said that, listen, the American people don't need to know, right? They don't deserve to know until after the election. And now it's after the election. And now we're getting a hint at what President Biden may be thinking in regards to packing the Supreme Court. Again, this was one of the things that was very contentious, right? It was what's kind of on the line because the liberals were mad that President Trump put Amy Coney Barrett on the court. They thought it was unfair. And they said that they're going to retaliate by basically getting rid of the filibuster and packing the court to take power, right? The Democrats want to grab power by any means necessary. And this is just one of their other attempts. Okay, so let's read a little bit more here. As Joe Biden has ordered a study on the size of the Supreme Court and other possible changes amid liberal court packing push. President Biden will issue an executive order Friday to form a commission to study reforms to the United States Supreme Court. Biden, under pressure from liberals to expand the size of the high court, promised to create the commission during a 60 Minutes interview back in October in the wake of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death. The 36-member commission will be bipartisan and will hold public meetings to evaluate court reforms. The new panel will have 180 days from the first meeting to complete its report on the pros and cons of court reforms. While court packing or expanding the number of justices beyond 9 has been the most high-profile court reform debated, Biden's executive order seeks to look at other judicial changes, including the lifetime appointment of justices. According to the White House, the commission will look into, quote, the length of service and turnover of justices on the court, the membership and size of the court, and the court's case selection, rules, and practices. Biden picked two chairs to lead the commission. New York University School of Law professor Bob Baer, the former White House counsel under former President Barack Obama, and Yale Law School professor Christina Rodriguez, a former Justice Department official and clerk to former Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. The other members are scholars, lawyers, retired members of the judiciary, and advocates, including Caroline Frederickson, the past president of the American Constitution Society, a progressive legal organization, Sherilyn Ifill, president of the NAACP, Legal Defense and Educational Fund, and Adam White, a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute and a member of the Conservative Federalist Society. Biden has been cool to the idea of court packing in the past, calling it a bonehead idea back in 1983, and said during the presidential campaign that he's not a fan of court packing. But Biden pledged to form a commission during the campaign as liberals were outraged that former President Trump got to appoint a third Supreme Court justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and Senate Republicans fast-tracked her confirmation in October despite the 2020 election just days away. Progressives, including prominent lawmakers like Senator Ed Markey, Democrat from Massachusetts, vowed to abolish the filibuster and expand the Supreme Court should they retake power. In a 60 Minutes interview before he was elected, Biden said the court system was getting out of whack and said he supports forming a commission to look at alternatives to court packing. Quote, it's not about court packing, Biden said in October 2020 interview. There's a number of other things that our constitutional scholars have debated, and I've looked to see what recommendations the commission might make. There's a number of alternatives that go well beyond packing. All right, guys. So Biden says it's not just about court packing. And honestly, guys, I don't really know how Biden feels about court packing, right? I don't really have a strong opinion on it because this is just one of those things that Biden seems to be being pulled to the left on from progressives, right? A lot of the far left liberals and progressives are the ones that are screaming to pack the court, okay? Kamala is definitely more left of Biden, so it's no surprise that she probably supports it, but does Biden actually support it? I don't really know, right? I just really don't know. This commission that he formed, right, was something that he promised to do when he didn't really want to give an answer. And he didn't really want to give an answer because he didn't really want to piss off the progressives, and he also really didn't want to give the Republicans inside look at the Democrat strategy if they move forward with the nomination. Okay. So I honestly don't know, but it is interesting to see Biden move forward with this at this juncture. Okay. Because we've seen Biden be pressured from the left to do a lot of things that are progressive, right? For example, when it comes to the $15 hour minimum wage, right? He's been pressured on that. Now, Biden pretended that they wanted the $15 an hour minimum wage by trying to put it in the stimulus bill during reconciliation, and then end up having the parliamentarian of the Senate basically say no, in which, Kamala could have overridden her, but the administration chose not to, which means that Biden was like, nah, don't override that, right? Same thing when it comes to the filibuster. Now, the progressives want to get rid of the filibuster. Biden's like, you see what I'm saying? Like, he's not really saying he doesn't want it, but he's not saying that he does want it. Okay? He's really just trying to take a moderate stance here, right? And I think that what he does on this Supreme Court issue really will determine whether or not Biden's a moderate. Because a lot of people, right, conservatives want to believe that Biden's somehow some flaming progressive. And he could be, right? He could be a progressive in disguise. He could be a Trojan horse. I don't know. But I think probably a more nuanced take on this is that Biden probably wants to be a moderate, but he's probably being pressured to be more progressive than he actually wants to be. Okay? I think that's actually what's happening here. And I think he's being pushed in a direction to do things like say he wants a $15 an hour minimum wage, and, say he wants to pack the court, and say, he's open to, reforming the filibuster and things like that. I think he's been pressured to do that stuff. Okay. And the question is, will he actually give in? Will Biden give in to the far left pressure to pack the court, or to get rid of the filibuster, or to try to pass the $15 hour minimum wage again? Who knows? They may do that in the infrastructure bill. They've hinted at trying to stick that in there, right? The progressives also, they want to spend $8 to $10 trillion on infrastructure. Biden only wants to spend, I think, what is it? 2.9 trillion or something like that, right? In which a lot of conservatives will say, well, that's still a lot of money, in which I agree that is a lot of money. But I'm just saying, I'm highlighting the policy positions thus far between the Biden administration and the progressives. Okay. And this could be one of those things where Biden's just being like, okay, we'll do the commission, we'll look into it, we'll get some findings. And he could be doing this just to try to appease the progressives and to act like this is something that he really wants to do. Now, on the other hand, conservatives could be right? Conservatives could be right. They could be saying, no. Biden actually does want to pack the court, right? He's actually going to try to pack the court. And that is exactly the direction he's going to go in, because that's something that, Schumer has talked about. That's something that a lot of, some of the more progressive Democrats have talked about. That's something Kamala has talked about. They're going to force him to do it, right? He's just pretending that he doesn't want to do it to try to appear to be moderate. That could also be the answer, right? That could also be the answer. But thus far, in my opinion, we haven't really seen Biden give in to too many of the progressive demands. We've seen him act like he wants that, But when it comes down to actual execution, he's not really doing it. Right now, who knows, when it comes to the Second Amendment and guns, with some of his recent executive orders regarding ghost guns and appointing an anti-gun lobbyist to the head of the ATF. I mean, some people may say like that is extreme and giving into progressive demand. So, and it also remains to be seen whether or not he's going to move forward with, more legislation against assault weapons, right? Which will be impossible with the current state of Congress, in my opinion, but he may decide to do something through executive action. Who knows? And like I said, the $15 an hour minimum wage really is the one that comes to mind, right? Who knows? They may try again, right? But, also another interesting point is, in regards to the Supreme Court itself. I mean, do the Democrats really need to pack the Supreme Court at this point? I mean, it's not like this Supreme Court has really been making conservatives happy up until this point, right? Like, for example, when it came to Obamacare, right? And Kavanaugh and Justice Roberts basically saying that getting rid of the individual mandate basically supports severability, as in they don't need to toss out the whole law just because the individual mandate may be unconstitutional, right? That decision in and of itself was a blow to Republicans and conservatives in regards to getting rid of Obamacare, right? And, with the election stuff, again, a lot of conservatives are like, what are these people doing? Right? So it's one of those things where it's just like the court in and of itself really has, to a certain extent, tried not to be too political. Now, again, some people may think that because of the election stuff that, they are political, right? Some people may hold that judgment. And I don't blame people for feeling that way, right? I really don't. Because I do think that they should at least, listen to some of the arguments, but that's neither here nor there. However, I think that if the Democrats actually did decide to pack the court, I think that in and of itself would make it more political than it already is. Okay? It really would. Because at that point, you be adding liberal justices to the court, right? And this would set the precedent for Republicans when they get power to basically do the same thing, right? And then we'll be in a situation where now, every single time there's a new administration or, a new legislator or whatever, that more justices are being added to try to balance the court. That in and of itself will make it political. I think the Supreme Court, honestly, is fine the way it is. I don't think that it really needs to be changed. I think that they're trying not to be political, even though, again, some people may disagree with that. And I think that at this point, making changes to it really is not in the best interest of the country or the court, right? I think that, they should have lifetime appointments because I think that does help them not be political, right? They don't have to worry about having a boss or somebody be over them, right? Once they're appointed, they're there. They also don't have to worry about being reelected or trying to run any campaigns or anything like that that may sway their decision making, right? I think that that's a good system. I like the system the way it is. I like the way it currently stands. I really do. So, I'm not convinced that Biden really, really wants to do it, but at the same time, I can definitely see how he can be pressured into doing it. I think it's one of those things that what's going to happen is if Biden decides not to run in 2024 and Kamala takes the reins, I think it's going to be one of those things that'll be left up to Kamala, right? In which she may be more willing to take action on this. And if the Democrats end up winning in 2024, I would imagine that at that point, they would just try to go whole hog on a permanent power grab. They really would. And we've seen the Democrats try to grab power, right? Whether that's through, the filibuster or even trying to add DC as a state. Okay. This could just be one of those other things in which the Democrats are exploring adding power, right? Not to mention that voting rights bill that they have that really would be a nuke button on the Republican Party, right? The Democrats are really, really, really trying to maintain a permanent hold on power in Washington, and they're exploring any means necessary. But, at the end of the day, it does seem that Biden, at least appearing or trying to be moderate, is what's standing in the way, because the progressives really, really do want to just take over and just say, you know what, we're done with the Republican Party. That's what the progressives want. So it remains to be seen whether or not Biden's going to cave. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.